What up? What's up? No claim. First one on here. Jalapeno Prepper. Second. Nice. All right. This is gonna be a spicy live. So I wonder if I can get. Let me see here. All right. Okay, we got a decent amount of people in here. We'll probably get some more in here. Okay, so obviously with my title and the thumbnail I decided to post on here was definitely on purpose. But for those who did not hear, there's the Hearing Protection Act bill that is going on through Congress right now. It's making its way through DC and through all the legislature and all that stuff. And there is a congressman who's a Republican named David Kossak or something like that. Kossett, whatever his name is. Don't care. He's from Tennessee. Is essentially reworking the Hearing Protection Act and going against it to make sure that silencers stay on the NFA and that short barrel rifles stay on the NFA. And then rewording it where it's like, oh, well, you won't have to pay $200 for the tax stamp, but you still have to register it. There still has to be a paper trail. You still have to get a tax stamp. You just won't have to pay the money. Well, rumors are, and there's a lot of allegations out there, and there's some supporting documents that have been floating around. I posted some of it on X, and also Guns and Gadgets. I highly recommend that you go watch his video about this. But supposedly, and this has been going on for a couple of weeks now, with all the same parrots saying the same thing, that Silencer Central has been lobbying and working with David Kossak against the Hearing Protection Act bill as it stands from what the GOA and those guys were pushing through. So essentially, I guess they have like a ship to your door type process where they maybe have a business practice or a model where they are able to, make a little bit extra money. I don't know. On the NFA process, the tax stamp process, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, they are going against this bill. And I was talking to Ben from Wiseman Company, and I'm like, this is the type of crap that is so infuriating. And in fact, I'm infuriated. If you look at the bill and what companies are on there, there's a lot of companies on there that should be on there that I'm kind of pissed are not on that bill in support of the Hearing Protection Act. Whether they're a suppressor company or not, there are a lot of companies I'm like, what? Dude, freaking High Point is on the bill supporting it. High Point's on there. And I'm like, how come there's not other companies that we love and cherish and make good product and all this type of stuff? Why are you not on the bill? And maybe if it was like a mistake, like, hey, we weren't able to get to it in time, I understand that. But start tagging these companies and being like, get on the bill and push this through. We need to, as one voice, start pushing this type of legislation. Donald Trump has literally said, whatever comes on my desk, I will sign it. So if that's a bill where the NFA is in place and there is just no $200 fee that you have to pay, but the tax stamp still required, the NFA is still required, and upstand in those ways where it's the suppressors are on there, the short barrel rifles on there, it doesn't matter. He will sign whatever comes across his desk. So now is the time. And to I've said this, to guys in passing and stuff like that, and some guys in the group. But it's a good reminder that a lot of these companies in the gun industry do not care about the Second Amendment. Not all of them. I think there's a good amount that are pro 2A. But there are companies within the gun industry that do not care about your rights, that do not care about the Second Amendment, that do not care about, demolishing the NFA, that do not care about what the ATF is doing. And in fact, those companies need to be identified and should be given the Bud Light treatment. We as a collective and as a community need to stop supporting these companies by giving them our money for their products. Find something else that's better or something else that's equivalent, and we got to identify these companies and stop supporting them. Because this is why I'm so selective about who Barrel and Hatchet partners with. And this is why I've even told companies that have approached us is I'm like, look, we're very selective about who we partner with because we're aligning our brand and our moral values along with yours and saying, hey, we partner with yours and say we're on the same sheet of music. And that's kind of tough, to be honest. But there are companies out there that will push for legislation that will violate your rights because they care more about the bottom dollar. They care more about making money. And so, like, for example, I was just talking to Ben about this. Ben is the owner of Wiseman Company. Wiseman Company is the official, retailer for Lunar Concepts, who makes a lot of really great nylon gear. Go check out Wiseman Company. He has a YouTube channel. Go check him out. And one of the products that they have is the split fix for the brace. And he's like, dude, if they said SBRs are no longer in the NFA, I would happily push that legislation as hard as I can, even if it meant that I would lose the split fix and lose that product in terms of us being able to make money on as a company, because I care more about gun rights and I care more about the Second Amendment community than I do about lining my pocket with split fixes. Because, let's just say, for example, he's like, well, not that he's going to do this, but saying, what if Wiseman was like, well, we have the split fix, we make money on the braces, let's push for the NFA to maintain the SBR so that way we can keep making money on pistols. Like, that's absolute trash. And Ben and Wiseman Company and Lunar Concepts, those guys are all pro 2A about abolishing the NFA and getting rid of SBRs, even at the cost of what the financial hit would be on their company, because they care more about the Second Amendment. And this is the type of stuff where it's like, we as a collective gotta start identifying these things. And if there is, like I said, this is still in the allegations phase about Silencer Central. If there is, actual facts saying, hey, that was not the case, then obviously we'll rectify that and we'll bring it up, be like, hey, Silencer Central was not a part of this. But right now, all of the clues are pointing towards that being the case. And so it goes back to us as the individuals within this community. We have the power to decide who we support and who we don't. And that goes back to what are the company's principles? What are their morals? What do they stand behind? Do they truly stand behind the Second Amendment, or are they just chasing your money and chasing government contracts and making themselves a bigger conglomerate corporate machine, right? And so, guys, call your congressman. Like this, I've never really been about like, call your congressman and see if it works. And like, I've always been like, it doesn't work. It's a process. It doesn't work. From what Guns and Gadgets was saying, he's like, it's making an effect. Like, he said that people in that lobby are in Congress are listening to these phone calls, and it's swaying their decision-making process on what to support. So call your congressman, call your state legislator, call your representative in the Senate, whatever, and say like, hey, we want the HPA bill, the Hearing Protection Act bill, to go through. This is the one time that we have this opportunity. This is the one time I've been like optimistic about it. And yeah, so, and on the flip side of that coin, we got to start giving the Bud Light treatment to some of these companies, man. They don't care about you. They don't care about your rights. They care about the bottom dollar and growing their corporate machine. So anyways, that was my rant. We're on a time crunch right now with the Hearing Protection Act. So pray for it. Pray that the Lord will allow that to happen, that we get some more of our rights and freedoms back. In fact, everything should be off the NFA. That includes full send type machines. I can't say it on YouTube, but like, everything should be off the NFA, in my opinion. I think the NFA is an infringement. Every gun right's an infringement. But anyways, all right, call your representatives. That is all.